In this video, you will learn how to create animations. This video is a continuation of the Creating Work Instructions video. Be sure to check that video first. As always, let's start with resetting our layout. Go to Window, Reset Layout. We will minimize or close the asset library. We'll keep the timeline editor open, the object properties, and let's also open the UI editor. Let's continue with this step 2 we have created in the previous video. What we want to achieve now is to highlight the parts that are rotating. So currently we already have set the hull to ghosted mode and the rotating parts to solid. But here's an additional trick that you can use to highlight objects. Select the object you want to highlight. In this case, let's maximize the step hierarchy. Select the rotating parts and then add the selected to timeline. From here, you will see within the timeline editor, we have created a new channel. In the drop-down, select Set Object Color. This will create a pulsing animation to highlight the rotating blades. If you double-click the time bar, it will open the settings. In here, you can actually change the color to a color of preference, but let's first preview our animation by pressing the play button. Or you can also preview the animation by scrolling on top of the timeline editor bar. Let's change the color to a more friendly green color. And additionally, what we can do is we can shorten the loop of the animation. In this case, you can see that the loop runs from 0 seconds to 10 seconds. You can shorten the timeline loop length by dragging the blue line to the left. So this is, for example, up to 4 seconds, or you can right-click the first second here to loop it to 1 second. So now when you play the animation, you can actually see we have a perfect loop created. As a next step, we want to show how the blades are actually rotating. So let's go to the first step where everything is solid. And on here, you can right-click this step and say Continue Step. This will actually create a third step based on a continuation of step 1. So in this case, again, let's select our rotating parts, and a second methodology to animate parts is actually to press the record button. So first, let's press the letter E on the keyboard to change to rotation mode, and then let's start recording. So the correct rotation of the blades is in the direction that you currently show. And then let's stop recording once that is done. Let's also shorten the timeline by right-clicking on 1 second. And let's play this back. So you can see that our animation is actually skipping at the moment because we don't have a perfect 360-degree rotation. So let's first start by double-clicking on the time bar, scroll down, and in here change the angle to -360 degrees. Now when we play back, you see the rotation is actually going way too fast. So let's lengthen our loop length to 4 seconds and drag to extend the time bar. When we preview this again, you can actually see that we now have a quite satisfactory rotation that is easy to look at and to evaluate the data. Let's also adjust the UI so that it displays a related message. So let's go to the UI editor, scroll down and change the text. Then let's create one additional step that actually shows another work instruction. Within step 4, we will show how to remove the front cone. So I'll start with changing that text. As we did before, let's select the object that we want to animate, which is this cone. You can zoom into that, and when we click inside the cone, you can actually see that we have bolts to animate as well. So let's go again to the step hierarchy, select the parent of these 6 bolts that you can see here, so bolts_1, and we can start to animate this. So press the record button, press W on the keyboard to go back to translation mode, or alternatively, you can select the gizmo here on top. And then let's drag it out. So this will be more or less the animation that we will need. Stop recording. Then when playing this back, you can see that the bolts move out. As a second step, let's select the cone. In this case, marked as part 2002. Here we'll do the same, press the record button, drag the selection, let's say here to the middle, so we have a nice exploded view, and let's stop recording. So let's scroll back to the start and play this back. Now we have a nice animation to show how the front cone is removed. Additionally, you also have options in the time bar properties, for example, to ease in and ease out. So let's do that for both of our animations, ease in and out. Let's play back again. This looks like a nice smooth animation. In this case, I'm going to choose to keep my 10-second loop so that actually we have enough time to review our changes. I will move our bars as well a couple of seconds down the line so that actually in the first 2 seconds, nothing will happen yet. So it will allow the user in the app to read the text first, and then they will be able to see what actually happens when they remove the front cone. As a last step, we can create a step to automatically allow an end user to close the scenario once they are done. To do that, let's go to Select Template, Finish Procedure. And in this case, you can change the text if you want to. I will keep it to the default for now. But what will happen is when an end user will press this button, it will close the procedure. So one more time, let's start the simulation to see what we created. We have our welcome screen, content displaced, a user can walk around. Then we have our highlight of the rotating part. We can show the end user how these parts are rotating. And we are showing how to remove the front cone. After that, we can close the procedure. So let's stop our simulation, publish our project to the app so we can test it out. So we have our welcome screen. We place the content. We can look around. Then we see our highlight pulse we created. We see how the parts move and rotate. And to finish off, you can see how the front cone is removed. And the last step allows the user to close the procedure.